Flins, Yelan, and their weapons. Let's talk about the banners. Too long didn't watch version. Flint's banner is good. Flint is gonna feel good in Outcry because new enemies are gonna be weak to lunar mechanics. Yelan banner is decent. Yelan is a character that's barely clinching onto the meta nowadays, but she's starting to show her age. And for bonus, yes please, weapon banner is good minus. Disclaimer, my ratings are only here to help you make the decision and not a final say on who you should pull. Because a character is more than just their combat kit. It's also about their personality, their aesthetic, their presence in the main story, the exploration. Flins is a good character. Flins is within top 5. In terms of pure numbers, Flins is slightly behind Baressa, slightly behind Novelat, in a Novelat, Nefer, and Lauma team. But do note that Flins is not great characters which are currently being shielded in a lot of different contents. It doesn't matter if in a vacuum a character is doing better numbers because the enemies are going to have a ton of resistance if you're not from Outcry. That's the reality of how game mechanics works these days. These kind of enemies are a pain to play against when we do not have two Outcry characters. We're basically having to kill 2 times its HP. Outcry characters just gonna have an easier time in the open world as well as endgames. So in reality, Flins is likely to be within top 2 or top 3 character right now in terms of DPS. In the very near future, with the release of the quote-unquote Archon of Outcry region, expected to be Colombia, I expect Flint's team to be about 10 to 15% better, similar to how Mohican release makes all Natlan teams better. For the 4-star on the banners, DORI is a bad character. Unfortunately, I love her character, but in terms of functionality, she just doesn't do much. She's an electro healer that gives a little bit of energy recharge back, but she is being locked to a 20-second cooldown rotation, which some characters do not want. Flins especially wants a 16 to 17 rotation, 20-second cooldown. If you have to wait for some teammates with a 20-second cooldown, it's just awkwardly doing nothing on field. Other than that, Cookie Shinobu is just a strictly better version of an electro healer that can do other things like triggering hyper blooms. SUCROSE is a good support. SUCROSE is also the best possible animo you can use for Flint, giving both elemental mastery, and as a catalyst user she can use Turing Test of Dragon Slayer TTDS or Wandering Even Star, both give attack from the weapon and some EM from herself to Flint. She's also holding Predestined Venerer, which any animo character can do to debuff the enemies for electro. In the Flint team, with Flint, Nefer, AINO, and SUCROSE is debuffing the enemies and buffing both Flint and Nefer. For AINO, we do have a free version of AINO. Overall, AINO is a decent character. She gains quite a bit from her C1 because AINO C1 is giving the on-field character 80 elemental mastery, which is quite nice. Good for Flint. In the future, also good for Nefer. AINO constellation from 2 to 5 is just slightly increasing her personal damage, which doesn't matter. But AINO C6 is increasing lunar damage by 15 then 20% for a total of 35%, which is quite good. I can't remember correctly, I think it's somewhere around 8 to 10% increase for Flint's team's damage. But once again, I would like to remind everyone that getting a C6 4-star is almost as difficult as getting a C2 5-star. So AINO C6, it's only worth considering if you are already pulling a lot on Flint's banner. Other than that, a C1 AINO, so one more copy of AINO than the free version of AINO that we already have, is already plenty useful. Yelan is a good minus character. She can actually be used in a Flint's team and she will be as good as AINO C1. Wow. Yelan is seeing less and less usage these days. Her main use is in a double hydro team to focus on her personal damage because double hydro reduce her energy needs and giving a 25% max HP increase, which improves Yelan's damage. But other than that, if we're gonna look at the few latest release characters, Lauma could use Yelan in a double hydro hyper bloom team. Yelan is not really one of World's best team anymore. Yelan cannot be used with Jaska. Skirk can use Yelan in the team. Baressa do not do normal attack and does not use Yelan. Mohuika, initially she kinda used Yelan, but after discovering more combos potential on her, she's not really using Yelan anymore these days. Kinet is not really using Yelan. He would much rather use just Ororon or Yensan. So we see that Yelan's usage is getting quite limited these days. So have in mind specifically what team you want to pull Yelan for before you pull her, rather than universal support. But other than that, she does have the perk of open world traversal. If we use her skill Bow, she travels quite fast and she can replenish some stamina. So these are the characters, both 5-star and 4-star on banners. I'm gonna give an overall banner rating. Flins is a good character. DORI, bad. Sucrose, good. AINO, decent, but at C6 AINO will become good minus. Especially because there is a synergy. Sucrose is the best possible anemo character for Flins. AINO is a very competitive option of Hydro for Flins team. So this banner overall is a good banner. You get both Flins and the characters that plays well with him. Yelan is a good minus character. Same 4-star cast, DORI bad, Sucrose good, AINO decent to good minus at C6, but there is not really any synergy happening here. This is a decent banner. And finally, let's go to the weapon. We got the Flint signature weapon, the AINO signature weapon, the Sucrose signature weapon, the Nefer signature weapon, and some other garbage. Okay, for real. Flint's signature weapon, Blood-Soaked Ruins. It's a nice signature weapon. It is the best in slot for Flint. It's also good on Nefer and good on Raiden only if Raiden is being played in a team with Nefer to enable some Lunar Charge shenanigan. Because the Flint signature weapon is first and foremost a generic stat stick. It also increases Lunar Charge damage by 36%, and after triggering a Lunar Charge reaction, the equipping character gains crit damage and refunds some energy. This makes it good for Nefer. Obviously not as good as Nefer's signature weapon on herself. It's good on Raiden if you play Raiden in a team that has Lunar Charge, so specifically with Nefer, because it still gets a little bit of crit damage and refunds at Raiden energy, which Raiden appreciates. On top of being a crit stat stick, from my calculation, this is actually almost equal to Raiden's signature weapon on herself, which you could say that Raiden's signature was not a very good signature weapon. Aqua Simulacra is Yelan's signature weapon. It is only relevant on Yelan specifically if you are playing a team where she has enough energy recharge, because most situations where you play Yelan as a solo Hydro character in a team, you likely need Favonius bow. Otherwise, she is not getting her burst back. And not getting her burst is not doing damage and not applying Hydro. So that means only in a very selective kind of teams that her weapon would be best in slot for her. Other than that, Yelan's bow is just a generic stat stick, crit damage, increased HP, not really any characters using this, and 20% damage bonus. Citrine weapon, so that she can do 2 damage instead of 1 damage now. Huge! You pull for 2 Aqua like a fool. To be honest, Aqua Simulacra in the past is a pretty good stat stick, but nowadays we just have so many more. Crit bows diluting the value of this. If you have any of the crit bow already, they are all providing somewhat similar stuff. This, which is a standard weapon. Let's talk about the 4 stars. Sacrificial Bow is the worst version of Favonius Bow. It's still a decent ER stat stick if you need energy recharge and you do not have Favonius. Lion's Roar, the sword, is a decent sword. I would not recommend pulling for this because usually a craftable 4-star sword is better. Faf Lance is a good weapon. There is not much alternative for supports to use. Faf Great Sword is only good minus. It is providing equal value to Faf Lance, but there are less Claymore support characters in the game right now. Basically, right now it's only AINO that is quite irrelevant in the meta, so we're gonna see a little bit less of the Faf Great Sword usage. Faf Codex has to compete with a lot more better stuff. Throwing Tales of Dragon Slayer is the big name among the catalysts, providing 48% attack for the main DPS. Prototype Amber is one, providing some healing. Hakushin Ring or Wandering Even Star. Faf Codex just has to compete quite a bit more. Overall, it's still a good minus weapon, Faf Codex. To summarize, Flint's polearm is a good weapon. It's funny how his polearm is being clipped outside of the banner. It's triggering me slightly. Yelan's bow is a good minus weapon. Sacrificial Bow is a decent weapon. Lion's Roar, decent, the sword. Faf Lance, good. Faf Great Sword, good minus. Faf Codex, good minus. Overall, this is a good minus weapon banner. Me personally, I am actually gonna throw a few pulls on this to get a Faf weapon. There are 3 Faf weapons on this banner, so it is a decent chance to just grab some Fafs. With the prevalence of Stygian Onslaught, where we start with 0 energy, Favonius stocks are just rising. But I would like to put a disclaimer, getting a 4-star weapon just as getting a 4-star character, we are straight up gambling. There is no guarantee system. There will be a chance that you're just getting a 5-star weapon that you may not want. So know the risk of what you're getting yourself into. If you accept the risk, then go ahead. Summarize, good banner, decent banner, good minus banner, 5 carries. But if you don't know, I usually give a brief write-up for all of these banners, brag by the way, in my Discord and in my YouTube post. I also giving my ratings, so those are a good source for you to just reference these again, whichever format you prefer to consume. On the stream, we're gonna elaborate more as well as answering some questions. Right, time for question and answer is open, chat. Is Yelan good in your current roster? Yelan can be used in a team with Skirk and Furina, I guess. I would definitely prioritize getting a Scofia for Skirk. That's a huge increase. Yelan can actually be used in a Raiden, Furina, Yelan, and Jean, I guess, team. But it's more like a small bump increase for your account rather than a huge spike. If you like her, you would not regret pulling her, but if you don't like her, it's also fine if you skip her. After you get Flins, you should try pulling for his weapons, or you should try getting his constellation. His weapons and his C1 are somewhat of a similar increase to himself. It depends on what weapons you have already. If you already have a good weapon for him, maybe something like Primordial Jet Wing Spear, then the increase from Primordial Jet Wing Spear to his signature weapon is not as big as his C0 to C1 increase. But if you started from Craftable Spear for Flins, then it's a little bit more worthwhile to get his signature weapon. Also, a slight quirk that I would like to mention to you is that if you get his signature weapon, then you need to build a little bit less energy recharge on him because his weapon gives him a little bit energy back. But if you get his C1, then you would actually need to build a bit more energy recharge on him because his C1 just alters his playstyle slightly. At C0, we're only using 2 of his mini bursts per rotation, but at his C1, we're using 3 of his mini bursts per rotation. It offers a little bit of energy refund as well, but it's not enough. So at the end of the day, we have to build a bit more ER on him. So maybe that will affect your preference. To summarize, signature weapon reduce ER needs, C1 increase ER needs. You're asking for second best in slots for Flins. In terms of weapon, this is calculation from Vomfi. Blood Sucrose is his signature weapon. Both Homa and Staff of Scarlet Sun, which is Sino's signature weapon, are around 11%. Jet Spear is also 10%. Use any of Jet Spear, Staff of Scarlet Sun, or Homa. It's similar enough, any of these 3. Shovel R5 is the craftable weapon in Notcry. That's the baseline for comparison. You have 3 Jet Spear waiting? Nice. You have Lauma and Nefer. You don't know to choose between Flins and Nefer. It's honestly a personal preference kind of choice. In a vacuum, on a blank piece of paper, Flins and Nefer team are actually doing somewhat similar damage. The difference is that Nefer is Dendro and Flins is Electro. Nefer is a bigger portion of her team's damage, and Flins team damage is shared around 60-40 between Flins and Nefer. That's pretty much all the mechanic stuff that I can mention to you. Other than that, which character do you like mostly? Which element coverage are you lacking in your account? Electro or Dendro? That's all I have for you folks. Good luck with your pulls. I make guides and memes like this, so check out my other videos like this one.